one of the essential ingredients into a successful startup is that you are really solving a consumer need and the entrepreneur feels passionate about it. I've seen a lot of people start companies that they say, "Oh, I'm incubating a bunch of ideas." If you're saying it, you're doing it just to make money and whatever. Though that's not find if you're going to start a company, find something you believe in and you are solving a problem for people, then it's going to be a lot easier for you to make this happen.
Welcome to A Founder's Life. I'm your host, Leo Gestetner. On this show, we dive into the real stories behind the highs and lows of entrepreneurship and how we pursue a more balanced and meaningful life along the way. This podcast is sponsored by Thankz, helping founders like us scale with reliable remote talent. Email founders@thankz.com, that's THANKZ.com, with the subject line, A Founder's Life, and you'll receive preferred treatment. I'm now excited to be joined by Alison Weick. Alison, great to have you here. Can you kick things off by introducing yourself, please?
Sure. Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here. So I'm Alison Weick. I'm currently the CEO of Jewlr, and we are a direct-to-consumer jewelry company, and we make personalized jewelry, which is given a lot as gifts. So if you're looking for a personalized gift for your significant other or whoever is important to your life, we can satisfy that need for you.
And talk to me a little bit about both what you've done that got you to where you are today, and then a little more about the business you're with today, but especially that sort of journey that got you to where you are.
Sure. I don't have a particularly linear path, so I've done a lot of different things, which I think has actually made me a stronger manager today. But, in the middle, it looks a little confusing. I started out doing consulting and finance right out of college. So I worked in financial services, definitely did very different things than what I'm doing now, but got a good analytical base, know how to make some good PowerPoint slides and run some spreadsheets and all that good stuff. But I knew that wasn't my passion. Going into business school, I wanted to change careers. So afterwards, I understood I've always been fascinated by consumer brands. And for me, it's about the psychology of, what does a consumer need? What does this company have? How do you connect that through communications, marketing, sales, all of that? So that's the part of the world I wanted to live in. So, since I graduating from business school, I've worked at a lot of great consumer brands. I worked at WeightWatchers for a long time, which is a great consumer brand, Barnes& and Noble. I tend to work at companies that, I'm excited by their products and their missions. So I did the big company thing for a while. And then I decided that, I felt like I could make a greater impact. And that for me, I thought that that was on the entrepreneurial side. I looked at a lot of small companies and said, this could be really interesting. I think at that point in my career, I didn't understand that people kind of fit in different stages of growth. So I kind of went from one big company. I went to an early stage startup where I was the first employee. So really entrepreneurial, you're there trying to figure out like, we don't have pens. Like, what are we going to do? Like, what is this business model? What is this going to work? So I really went to the startup side after always having been at larger companies. And that was a tremendous experience, which I did for 6 or 7 years. Ultimately, I figured out that I'm not an early stage person. I think for me, my sweet spot is more in the growth stage, but I loved being at a small company where I could have a bigger impact. I never went back to big companies after that. So, I worked at the startup for a long time. Then I went to a company called Box, where I was the CMO when I initially started. And then we ended up going public, and I took on the president role after we went public, which was great. It was my first big general manager role. Great company, great brands, great products. Unfortunately, that company hit some financial challenges. We ended up filing Chapter 11 and restructuring. So great experience. I always say my best experiences are the ones that were very difficult. So I'd say that has prepared me for everything I'm dealing with today, which has brought me to Jewlr today, where, our company is owned by a private equity firm. They brought me in, focused on doing a bit of a turnaround and trying to refocus the company and the brand. But it's located and headquartered in Toronto, which I don't think I mentioned. And I live in New York City, which is a challenge from a personal perspective. And something when they initially approached me, I said, no way. But over time, it became something that, I really wanted to do. And there's a lot of reasons for that. But I came in and today I'm focused on my sweet spot, which is really taking a company that's proven out its business model and trying to grow it to that next level and make it a much bigger brand. It's been a tremendous experience. As you know, the world is a choppy place right now. So we are, heads down trying to navigate and keep our business as strong as possible as we weather a lot of the things a lot of businesses are weathering out there with supply chain challenges. As a jewelry company, the price of gold and silver have a huge impact on our business. And we're just trying to get forward and continue to give our customers what they expect and want from us.
And that's quite some path that's led you there. And I think, and in the jewelry business, if I understand correctly, you actually manufacture in Canada.
Yes. So we own our manufacturing, which I haven't managed before. I've run fulfillment centers, but never done actual manufacturing, which I have to say I love. I love. There's nothing more satisfying than going in. If you're having a bad day, I just walk over. I'm like, I can watch jewelry being made. It's so great. It's fun. We have these really highly skilled craftsmen setting diamonds and doing the whole thing. So I love that piece of it. But yes, we own our manufacturing, which gives us full control over the quality of the products. And we're also doing the front end e-commerce business piece of it in Toronto, which has been very, very interesting.
And talk to us a little bit about what family looks like for you.
So I am married. I live in New York City and I have two sons, 10 years old and 12 years old. So taking on a job that was located in Toronto was obviously a family decision and one we've all had to balance and live with. But, it's going well. I think we found out you figure out a system, it's the new normal.
Yeah, I think lots of new normals happening.
Yes, that's the theme of this year, new normal.
Yeah, maybe the theme of this decade.
Yeah, it's true.
And what does health look like for you, especially with all of your travel and everything?
Health has always been important to me. I mentioned that I worked at WeightWatchers for a long time. Health and fitness is something I'm always interested in. I want to, be healthy. I want to have a good life. I'm also an older mom, so I have pretty young kids for my age, and I have to keep up with them, especially boys. I'm always running around and doing some things. For me, it's always been integral. I love, and I go through phases of what I like to do. I'm very into Pilates reformer now, which I do a couple times a week. I'm very focused on getting enough sleep, especially when I travel, because that can get messed up. Drinking enough water, hydrating. I also am very into, vitamins and supplements. So I have I have a routine that I have that keeps me feeling good. And I know as soon as I'm not getting enough sleep or I've been traveling too much and I'm dehydrated, like you start to feel that. But definitely it's something that's a priority for me and keeping on top of that because I need to be able to play a variety of sports every weekend with my kids.
Kids are a good way to keep you healthy.
It is.
And what do you like to do for fun?
So, in my extra time, I really, for me, it's about connecting. I have a lot of friends who live here in the city, and I love to go out, restaurants, connect with people. If you're going to live in New York City, there's a lot of upsides, there's a lot of downsides. The upsides are there's so many great things to do. It's always about, are we taking advantage of why we live here? Whether that be going to a show, a new restaurant, meeting friends, getting out. We live in apartments. It's always good. Why are we in the apartment? We should be out of the apartment. So for me, it's just engaging and doing things around the city that are fun for me and my kids.
Perfect. And how does a balanced life look for you?
I always laugh at the word balance. I think I hear a lot of people talk about boundaries and, time for this and time for that. I kind of live at the opposite end of the spectrum. When I try to confine things in buckets, it never works out. Life is too messy. So for me, I work 24/7 and I mom 24/7. And it's kind of like whatever's in front of me, that's what we're going to do. The kids are at school all day. After school, I can work. But if I have to do mom stuff during the week, I do it. That's not a problem for me. But yeah, I work on the weekends too. I don't do it during my kid's soccer game, but I do it when I can do that. To me, just blending it all together is a lot less stressful than trying to separate everything into neat buckets, which never works. I just kind of take it as I come, and I don't get hung up on, a lot of people get hung up on working on the weekends. I work on the weekends, but I do other things during the week that I need to do.
Yeah, I think it's finding the balance that works for us, and that doesn't mean you have to completely switch off. A mix of everything.
No, no, it's it's a real life, a real time decision as to what we're doing.
Yes. And what's been a pivotal moment for you in your life?
I think career wise, I think I went through sort of that mid level career where you're like, where do I fit in? Where am I going? For me, and I talked about it earlier, it was that transition from that big company to small company. Like when I made that decision to change and try something new and not worry about, where I'm working, do people understand it? You try to tell your parents what you do and they have no idea, right? So I always said, yeah, I worked at WeightWatchers, I work at Barnes and Noble, they know. So when I switched to small companies, I kind of left that mentality behind. But what I picked up was really understanding how ownership and accountability drove me as a person in a way that I was very unsatisfied before that, but I didn't know why. And when I got into these small companies, I was like, actually, I like being very hands on and I like having that accountability. I like to see, which is why I love e-commerce. You get immediate feedback. You can see what you're doing, the impact it has. You can't get that at a big company as easily. For me, that change, which I didn't even do on purpose, it's not like I was like, oh, I'm going to do this so I feel more, it happened for a variety of reasons. And I look back and I don't know if it was luck or, there was some subconscious thinking to it, but that changed my career and it put me on a much different trajectory.
And what's one piece of advice you'd give to an aspiring entrepreneur?
I've been in a lot of startup environments, and there's sort of things I look at when I'm looking at jobs and companies. So, for me, one of the essential ingredients into a successful startup is that you are really solving a consumer need and the entrepreneur feels passionate about it. I've seen a lot of people start companies that they say, "Oh, I'm incubating a bunch of ideas." If you're saying it, you're doing it just to make money and whatever. Though that's not fine. If you're going to start a company, find something you believe in and you are solving a problem for people. Then it's going to be a lot easier for you to make this happen. That's what I would say. And that's what I look for when I look for jobs. I'm like, why was this company founded? And is there like a passion and a brand behind it? Because it translates into the brand, right? That's the consumer connection. And some companies have it, it's amazing, and some companies just don't.
Great advice. You talked about don't start the company just to make money. Yeah, I often say to people, if all you want to do is make money, don't become an entrepreneur. You'll probably make a lot more working for someone else.
No, it's not a good route.
And how can people find you?
I'm on social media. I'm on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn. Yeah, I'm trying to post more. I'm bad about the external stuff. I tend to be internally focused, but you can find me. Reach out on LinkedIn. I'm happy to connect, and I'm open to discussing new ideas and businesses with everyone.
Thank you for joining us today. It was a great conversation.
Great. Thank you for having me. It was fun.
And thank you for listening to today's episode. If you enjoyed the conversation, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, tell your friends, and please leave a review.